Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It is day 2 here in the red group. This is, of course, the Call of Duty World League Global Pro League Stage 2. $700,000 on the line throughout Stage 2. And this week, we will help decide which teams are going to be moving on into that 500 grand playoffs. I'm Chris Puckett, and joining me at the desk, as always, we got Mr. Merc, Momo, and the great TP. Fellas, day 1, pretty interesting. All things went to plan with Luminosity, but then it got a little bit weird with some of the other teams. It's a hunt for that second place at the end of the weekend. But before we get to all of the matches, let's talk a little bit about what's on the line in the format. Merc, remind everybody, how does Global Pro League work?
Yeah, so we have 16 teams from all over the world. They're split up into 4 groups. Over each week, we're going to have one group here, as you can see on your screen. And then top 2 of those from that group are going to go to our $500,000 playoff. So again, each week you're going to have 4 different teams. Or started off this week with Group Red.
Lots of group action over the next 4 weeks. We're starting off with Group Red and already some interesting games. Momo, it really comes down to the playoffs, though. And let's talk about the prize money that's up for grabs. $700K in total for Stage 2. But how do the playoffs break out?
$500,000, $500,000. I mean, just the amount of money that is on the line is incredible. First, obviously, taking away $200,000, but it goes all the way down to the bottom. You're bagging yourself some extra cash just for getting there as well, so it's nothing to snub your nose at. These guys are playing for it all, and that playoff spot is all these guys are thinking about right now.
As we take a look at our teams in Group Red, TP, tell me, Luminosity, they're clearly the most impressive, but who impressed you on day 1?
I think you have to give it some props to Mindfreak and Fnatic. Fnatic versus that EG matchup, I wasn't sure how they're going to be able to perform. Anaheim EG was able to do really well getting that 5th, 6th placement, but you can see there, 2-6 map count, 0-2 start for them. You expected them to lose versus Luminosity, but that match versus Fnatic, they just didn't really show, too much promise. But maybe it's just day 1 EG. Going back to Stage 1, day 1 EG was absolutely terrible. There's always that chance to bounce back in this double round robin.
We'll see if they can get the job done 2 times in a row. It's going to be difficult, and we got to show you the road to victory for EG today. If they want to get back in the running, they need to steal a win against Mindfreak at 3:30. They also will get the rematch against Luminosity, where if you look at the end scores, they weren't total blowouts. At times, the games were close, but EG needs to step up the slaying. When we look at the schedule, though, Joe, what's the most impactful game of the day for you?
For me, it's match 2, EG versus Mindfreak, because yesterday Mindfreak played really well versus Luminosity. They stuck in those games. They did get 3-0'd, but they were able to win that second match. And obviously, EG, I think that's just the first match of the day. That momentum, how's it going to be for these guys? The team chemistry, there's obviously some bickering going on between them. Which Evil Geniuses are we going to see today? Look out for match number 2.
Now we have a new segment here on the desk, and that's when I force these guys to pick a player they loved and a player that needs to step up their game. We're going to start off with the players that shined, and TP, I'd love to open up with you. At the end of day 1, who was the one player that stood out the most for you?
For me, Fnatic Scraps. The amount of slaying he's able to put out on hardpoint specifically, just unbelievable stuff. Basically, 40 bomb in that one of those first hard points yesterday when they're able to get that win versus EG. Just impressive stuff. S&D, I guess there's a little bit more work that could be done from these guys overall. It was their strongest game type previously, but the Slayer number's unbelievable here.
Momo, you had some similar players. Let's look at your pick for day number 1, and we'll see if this player can have a similar performance. You went with Saints. Why did you love the guy from LG?
It was consistency. And, yes, he's on LG, and yes, everyone expected him to win. But it was just the fashion that he did it in. It was more kind of towards the respawns. As you can see, the Search and Destroy, it wasn't particularly his best game mode. But just throughout, the uplinks, the hard points, he was always just leading that category. And for me, it was always kind of the pressure was on Octane. And we saw yesterday, Octane was, he wasn't having the greatest game on like a breakout or something. He was right up there. He looked like he was having fun. He was in his element, and that's why I went with Saints.
Saints is looking good early on here in the Group Red. Joe, you went with a player from down under. Why did you choose Fida?
I just think he plays such an important role. Obviously, that KD doing pretty well, but he is that main E-Red on this team. He's the first guy that goes in, and if you're able to get 26 kills with the E-Red, you put so much pressure on the map, allows Dens, allows Buzzo to just make their life so much easier. Obviously, only 0.68 kills in SD. He could definitely step it up there. But again, in those respawns, they played Luminosity tough, man. If he keeps it up, they're going to be tough to deal with.
That KPR, thanks to JP from our stats team, those are kills per round in Search and Destroy. We're not always focused just purely on the overall KD, but here's a look at our 3 players from day number 1. Scraps from Fnatic. He is going to be the key for me. Can he keep doing his job? And on the other side, I'm going with Merc's pick here, Fida. Definitely outshining Shocks on day number 1. Can he do it in back-to-back days? We got a lot of awesome action here to kick off our day, and we are going to see some intense matches. But we talked about the players that are going to be doing the key work. Who are the guys who underperformed on day number 1 that need to step it up? TP, let's go with you. Who is your guy to watch coming into day 2? How does he turn his game around?
I think the obvious pick here is going to be Parasite. EG starting off 0-2. And it's just, it's uncharacteristic. When they made this roster change, they needed more consistency overall in the respawns. We know Parasite, Haggy, over the years, one of the best Search and Destroy players we've had on the circuit. But when it comes to these respawns, EG needs consistent slaying power. He has a slower style of play overall, was really supposed to be that sort of anchor, sort of support for Nameless, and you didn't really get it yesterday. There's several hard points where you need him to clutch up and at least go even, maybe a little bit positive. The double negative numbers just cannot be happening. That's why they're 0-2.
And Momo, you went with the same guy.
Yeah.
Parasite for you, is it all the same reasons that TP just said?
I think Teep kind of nailed it on the head there. For me, was kind of the almost the X Factor that he needed to be, or he needed to be, should I say, of the X Factor. But I just think Parasite, he was added to this roster for a reason, and I saw that at Anaheim, and you saw how well they could do. Day 1, he wasn't there for me, and I thought he was going up against, yes, very tough opponents and going kind of toe-to-toe with them, but he was just that 2-3 steps behind, and I think today he needs to kind of take on that EG role of kind of turning up on day 2 and 3 and just kind of let loose, just play his own game, and we know what Parasite can do. I think Mr. X touched on it. He was, you know, at one time the best player in the world. You know, he needs to kind of have that confidence, and I think he's lacking it a little bit.
Parasite, we will keep our eyes on the key player from EG. Merc, TP talked about the strength of Fnatic, and that was Scraps on day 1. What was the weakness?
You obviously have to talk about the other 2 guys. The Twins played great, but Sunnybeat and, of course, Tommy. Tommy was my choice. He has to step up big time. He has to help out Scraps. As you can see, that overall KD and even the kills per round in SD just not up to standard. And if they want to beat a team like Luminosity, yes, he's the captain. Yes, he's the voice of sort of reason for these guys. But you know what? How many months are we into this game now? You know what? How many more mistakes can you make? Quit focusing on that. Focus on yourself. Pick up the slaying power. Maybe they can win this game number 1.
Game number 1 is going to be a big one for Fnatic today. If they're able to take out Luminosity, it's going to cause a major shakeup in our rankings. We have that first match coming your way, but before we get to the action, we have to show you what the players had to say coming into this one.
LG, I mean, they've had a sort of unlucky year, I'd say. They only got their first win at the last MLG event, but apart from that, they've always been a top 4 team. We're the only team in this group that has actually beat LG on LAN, so going into it, we're going to have that confidence over the other teams that we know we've done it before.
Well, the first time we played them was in Paris, and we had a fill-in. And then the next time we played them, they kind of caught us off guard. Now that since the meta has changed since then, and we run a lot of ERADs, I think we'll be fine matching up against them.
In my opinion, what we've improved on a lot as a team is adapting to other teams' playstyles, and when we lost them beforehand, we didn't really do that.
I think the outcomes for the matchups against LG, I think we can go 1 for 1. I think we can trade with them.
I want my revenge. They beat us twice this year, actually. I don't know what it is about that team, but we just can't seem to beat them. So I want to come out and just obliterate 3 of them.
You heard it from Octane. He doesn't know what's going on when they match up against Fnatic, but it hasn't been going well. This, though, is a totally different Luminosity than we saw at Paris and that we saw back in Atlanta. Fellas, let's get your predictions quick before this match kicks off, starting with TP, going down the line. How does this one play out? You were 50-50 on day 1. I'm reminding the viewers at home.
Those middle 2 were tough, though. Don't get me wrong. I think today I'm going for the 100%, though. LG, I think they just completely dominate in the respawns here. Fnatic Search and Destroy hasn't looked great. 3-0 LG, a quick one.
3-0 LG. Momo?
Normally I would say Fnatic maybe steal the S&D, but yesterday, judging off their throwback S&D, I've got to go LG 3-0.
LG 3-0, Joe.
I hate to be the guy, but I'm going to say the same thing. All these maps just seem to play in Luminosity's sort of their favor. Even if they take a map, that game number 4, breakout hardpoint, Luminosity's just not going to lose those respawns.
If you're keeping score at home, TP and Merc, they are 2 for 2, 2 and 2 rather. 2 for 4, we have Mr. Momo at 3 and 4, leading the pack here at the analyst desk. But enough from us. Let's send it over to our casters. We got Mr. X and Maven ready to party here with Game 1.
Thank you, gentlemen. I like that breakdown, just showing some of the players that need to step it up, who really perform for them. What do you think about the guys' picks overall?
I agree. I mean, I think Parasite for EG, right? You brought him into this lineup. We talked a lot about him yesterday to pick up more kills, you know, be more consistent in the slaying department. He didn't really give you that yesterday, so you need him to show up in a big way for EG. And then I think, you know, Scraps obviously played great for Fnatic. The one thing I probably would have said Sunny B instead of Tommy needs to step up for Fnatic. I feel like he's been the one, like Sunny B's lows are really low. Like, he needs to, like, kind of bring that up. Like, you can't just hurt your team when you're playing that.
Up that floor, right?
Yeah.
Taking a look at Sunny B there. But I'll tell you what, I liked what they were talking about with this matchup. And when I talked to Luminosity, the word that kept being brought up when talking about Fnatic was the fact that they play weird. Over and over again. That's what I'd hear. But I like that because you think about different playstyles. We've got teams in hardpoint that play a little slow and rotate early. Some like an United team that hit a hardpoint even with 5 seconds left and fly around the map. If you're going to play a team like LG, I think the thing that bothers me the most about, you know, your top 8 North American teams, they all try to play the same method as a top team. It doesn't work. Like, just because Luminosity can do it well doesn't mean that you have the slaying power to do that.
Yeah, I love that too. It's like, yeah, we'll play the same way they play. It's like, well, you don't have players like them. So you're not going to, you know, result in the same success. Right off the break, it's going to be Fnatic getting a 3 down, and they'll get control of bridge. So good early start here for Fnatic, and I think the keys for Fnatic, you see at the beginning, is Wuskin picks up a 2-piece. I don't even really look at the brothers. I think the brothers can kind of play pretty well. You know, Scraps and Wuskin. It's really Sunny B for me, how he plays in this game.
Well, let's see if Wuskin can keep it up. Him and Scraps, the twins, looking phenomenal yesterday. And you got to think the fact that they've beaten them twice, you know, right now I think Luminosity has a bit of kind of that fear factor going against certain teams. Is the streak already up to 6 for Wuskin? You know, people know how good they are. Maybe they're a little bit nervous playing against them. Fnatic's not going to feel that. They're up 45-0 right now. What is this hold on bridge? This is flawless to kick off the game. Fantastic, fantastic stuff from Fnatic.
And this is a lot of what we've seen from Fnatic, right? They play great against the top teams, then teams you expect them to beat, teams that, you know, everyone's like, oh, this is a win for Fnatic. They end up losing the series. So getting off to a hot start here against Luminosity is not too big of a shot.
Well, I'll kind of edit a little bit for our younger viewers.
Why do you have to edit it?
The tweet from Scraps yesterday after they lost, but it was, he had choice words for that. Same thing you said. We play up to the level of the top teams, and then teams that maybe aren't as good, we play down to their level. He just used some choice words that I can't get away with on broadcast.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I mean, he's kind of right. I mean, yesterday they beat Mindfreak. You expect them to come in, you know, they beat EG. You expect them to come in, take control of that series against Mindfreak, and they get blown out. But right now, it is all Fnatic, 80-3 and counting. On the side of Luminosity, you got Octane 1-5. I mean, nobody really picking up any kills for the side of Luminosity. It's quite odd.
This looks like what Luminosity was doing to EG to start the breakout hard point, just complete and utter domination early in the game. But you got to think with a team like Luminosity, eventually they're going to turn it on. It can't stay like this the whole game, right?
Here's Luminosity's chance, right? You see all 4 of their players hitting down here through Market. Sunny B picks up a big 2-piece. That's going to allow his teammates over at that bridge side, top of the minimap, get over to help Scraps inside the hard point before Luminosity can break on in.
Well, you see it from Octane's POV. As soon as Sunny B gets that 2-piece, everything slows down, right? You only have 2 players to hit. You have to wait for everyone to come off a spawn. And the first kill again goes to the side of Sunny B, but it's now the turret. Octane trying to pick up 3. Leaves 1 player, 1 bullet inside. Can Octane or Classic find him? Not able to do it. The grenade does end up connecting, and now it's a race. Look, 1 team spawning top bridge, 1 spawning Market. Everyone trying to flood in. Saints is able to get the angle first and trying to find a couple of big kills here.
As much as we're talking about this, you know, for Luminosity right now, it is 118-11 in favor of Fnatic. Octane picks up some kills. But what, 10 seconds left here on the hard point. Scraps wins it. He'll take the rest of this time. Now Fnatic, I mean, they have not rotated over towards Broken, so Luminosity does have control of this hill. We have seen crazy comebacks on this map before. If it was to start, if any kind of comeback were to happen, it would start now with Luminosity in control of this broken hardpoint.
Yeah, I mean, with the comeback potential here and the talent on LG, this one's certainly not over, especially with the early rotation to destroyed building. They might be able to get a perfect hold. You can see how far away they are on the minimap. Look how far pushed up that number 8 is for Saints. He's already set up. Can we get to Saints POV real quick? Because he's holding a close angle inside. They're trying to get to the hardpoint. He's already cutting him off in there, killing 1 player, slowing down multiple, and then spawning out his Slack, who gets him behind.
Yeah, and you see number 5 on the minimap for Luminosity. Octane trying to get back into the hill. He gets taken out, and it's actually a big break there from Fnatic, because No, just looking at the score, right? Luminosity holds a full 60 there. They get to like 130. We'll give Fnatic some points to about 80. And then you go to Hotel Hallway. Then you kind of split the difference there. You're right back in the game if you're LG.
This is just an incredible start from Fnatic. You come in and you punch the world's best team in the mouth to kick off the series, get a little bit of hype going. You know, I mean, maybe not exactly like Clayster, but you hear how loud the Twins can get when they get going, man, when they're into the series. Very passionate guys. This game one, man, they close this out. Going to go a long way in this series.
They need this energy against other teams, though. I mean, they bring it against the top teams, right? They play them tough. I mean, they were a very strong opponent to a lot of the teams in their group stages in stage 1. And then they just kind of falter to teams you think they should beat. And there's Sunny B right now, 11-6, on a 4 streak. Looks like a completely different player against these top teams. I think it may be something where they just take teams lightly. They just don't come into those matches prepared.
The big thing here might be streaks. If they're able to pick them up, you had Scraps working towards it, Sunny B as well. If they can get dual full streaks, this game's basically over. That should be able to close it out with the combination of those powerhouse abilities. There's 1 kill. There you go. 25 now off the bombardment. The streak up to 7. Scraps going in. Fully streaked out now. I think Sunny B fell right before picking anything up. But God, what a performance here from your camo player in Scraps.
I cannot remember a game off the top of my head. It may have happened, may be mistaken, but that I've seen Luminosity get just beat this bad.
This is absurd.
I mean, when was the last time? I mean, one of the best, if not the best, hardpoint team in the game just get absolutely destroyed. So we stay on with Scraps as he's on a 9 streak. The Trinity Rockets coming down. Man, 200 to 43 in favor of Fnatic right now.
This is just phenomenal. And Scraps, you saw his incredible Game 1 performance yesterday. Doing it again here. The streak just keeps on rocking. 18-9 for this guy. He's going to call in the Scarab to try and make a play. Very close to getting that camo as well. And this is insane. I mean, maybe a combination of things. The difference in play style from Fnatic, the fact they kind of have their edge in this matchup all year, and then it's got to be somewhat a slow start from Luminosity.
Yeah, this is not a difference in play style. This is just one team coming in and just taking it to Luminosity. This is what we see Luminosity do to a lot of other teams, right? I mean, they just outgun them. They just so slay heavy. Fnatic took the game right to them, and they're doing it better.
And the big thing, when you talk about this group, the one maybe silver lining you had for EG yesterday is at least they took a map off LG, because we've been saying, if it comes down to the other 3 teams, just getting maps could be huge. Taking a series off LG could end up guaranteeing you a spot in the top 2, really?
It very well could. I mean, me and you were talking a little bit off camera, with some of the scenarios that could come into play. It's like Mindfreak's in the best spot of anybody right now, but you start taking maps off of LG, I mean, you can somehow muster a series out against LG, you're in a great spot if you're one of the other 3 teams.
Well, Fnatic, 3rd place at Sheffield and looking to shock here this weekend. If they can take out LG, Tommy does end up dropping, but Fnatic just 20 points away from cementing this victory. Saints has got to go huge here.
Yeah, and Classic on a 5 streak as well. So he may be able to earn some score streaks for LG. Saints with 1. More players coming from the bridge. LG has this cross watch though, but now the streaks are going to start to come in. Saints can't sit in the hard point, he needs to dodge. Streaks get nothing for the side of Fnatic, but it just forces the players of LG out of the hill. Going to make some easy gunfights go Fnatic's way.
Well, there's 2 players left here trying to get it done. It's going to be Classic and Slack. Slack ends up dropping. It's now Classic by himself, though. Finds both kills, and now the race is on. He can't get back to the hard point. Did he buy his team enough time to race across the bridge? Nice FTL to get in behind cover. I love this play to try and get it done by yourself inside. Octane lines up 2. Slack covers the backside, and now maybe you ramp up 30 here. You're going to end up trailing by 100 points.
And you have Classic spawned at the next hard point. Which streaks? So he's going to stay at the Broken. He's just going to watch that alone. And you see the minimap. Everybody from Fnatic pushing towards Cathedral. If they don't get this, they give up the next total Luminosity. They have streaks for bridge. They're right back in it.
Yeah, the big thing's going to come down to streaks and the payload use. We'll see down the stretch of this game. It's one more 1v1 for Octane. Those 6 points could be crucial. He wins that one-on-one. It feels like you have a tiny bit of breathing room. Now it almost feels like you've got none. 6 more points needed. They're inside. You have to break right now if you're LG. Slack goes in first. Classic around the backside. They're trading kills thus far, but they are racking up time. You have to have a perfect hold here.
They get the break, but it's only 2 players from LG able to lock this down. Saints inside the hill. Classic just trying to stay in the back as long as possible, and he does just enough for 2 teammates to get inside of the hard point. It's going to be Slack coming up. Hey, not able to take out Sunny B. Saints there to trade this out. You see on the minimap, LG, complete control of Broken right now.
They get right around 170 here. If they can flawlessly hold this. Saints is working on streaks as well. 1 kill away. Classic earned him as well. Wisely going to back down. He needs to get reactive. He needs to get these streaks to work with. He keeps getting peppered from the back. Finally going to re-challenge. Able to win the gunfight. And now just a kill off of bombardment. I mean, I guess the plus side you have, you can't, God, the problem is the streaks aren't going to be huge here in Hotel Hallway, right? No. You're not going to be able to use them, so you have to somehow make sure you're contesting every second. You can't allow Fnatic to get anything going. The collateral there, a 3-piece from Saints. Is that enough to get it done? It's a complete team wipe for Renato. 23 and 18, a minute 19 in the hard point, and Luminosity somehow still breathing.
And he's on a 10 streak right now. Saints heating up at the end of this game. And if Luminosity can take a chunk of time here, Maeve, they can get this one within a workable distance going into bridge. And then you have all these streaks on Saints. You're going to have Classic. It looks like he actually used camo, so now you're going to see the reactive armor come out from Saints. But you have a lot of streaks to break this bridge hardpoint coming up next. But Fnatic only 2 seconds away.
This is insane, absolutely insane. Game 1 in the series, Fnatic versus Luminosity. It's contested. The streak still alive for Saints. He's at 11. There's a couple at the edge. You see him there on X-Ray. They're going to start to soar in. They want the final points here. Where do the trades go? You got to get in. Not able to do it. Fnatic bust through. A scary win. A scary win. You felt LG was alive till the final moments, but Fnatic just enough to close it out.
And you know what ended up saving Fnatic is their ability to break that first broken hardpoint. When LG rotated early and they had control, and they're like, okay, if we can take, 50, 60 here, we can get, it's like 130, to 80. If LG gets up to 80 at that point, when they have that broken hill, Fnatic breaks it. They only let LG go in the second half of the game with 30 points.
Yeah.
That's the difference right there. I mean, the biggest difference in that game.
That's a really good point. I mean, that's where I think we both thought, all right, this is LG's chance to get back into it. Yeah, they did kind of claw their way back into it. It ended up being a much closer game than the start. But, I mean, for Fnatic, you had the hot start. You came in early. Luminosity, unfortunately, started a little bit slow. They finally started to turn up. You saw the great streak there from Saints at the end. But what a big win in Game 1. You still feel pretty good about, the search and destroy gameplay from Fnatic. Their uplink has been very good as well. This just became a very winnable series and one which, none of our analysts thought this is one they could take.
Neither of us thought they would take it.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
I think, you look at that first game from Fnatic, very important, obviously. Need to take maps here against LG. We don't expect LG to drop many maps against these teams. They come in, the world's best right now. Fnatic winning that Game 1 is huge because now you go into S&D. You play a little odd, some weird strategies. Maybe you catch Luminosity off guard. You can take a second map. Yeah. And then at that point, I mean, you're looking pretty good. I mean, even if you drop those 2 respawns, you still have that Game 5.
Yeah, and again, even if they lose in a Game 5, if you get 2 map wins, you're still kind of playing with house money at that point. Like just getting 2 wins off LG, which I don't know. I didn't expect anyone to do this weekend. Honestly, I did not. I thought they'd have all 3 O's and 3 1s personally. So if you push them to a Game 5, that puts even more pressure on the likes of Mindfreak and EG.
Especially because we've already seen Mindfreak play Luminosity and same with EG. And Mindfreak, they lose 3-0. And then you have EG, they're only able to take 1 map. So now Fnatic in a very good spot. They win this 1 map. They have that same kind of thing with EG going on. If you're able to take a second map, that's huge.
And that's, yeah, I mean, I know when you look at the final score line, it's a 250 to 200 game. It looks like it was close, and towards the end it was. But I don't think, at least for the first 5 minutes of that game, that we've seen a team take it to Luminosity like that in a hard point. At least, I'm sure it's happened. Just in recent memory, someone's been up 100 just pounding them like that. That was incredible stuff.
No, that's usually the domination that they give other teams, especially in a map like Retaliation. In a map that, they have very good NV4 players with Octane and Classic. They just didn't bring it at the beginning of that game. They did turn it on late, though. I mean, they looked scary good. Those last 2 or 3 hard points. But, they're not able to force it back to bridge where they had the streaks. But it's, it was a combination. It was the first broken rotation where they get there early. They're not able to hold. Then it's also, how funny is it? It's those 5 or 6 seconds that I believe it's Wuskins wins that fight against Octane over at Cathedral. The second rotation of Octane gets that extra 5 seconds. 5 second difference. Doesn't seem like a lot. But, I mean, that would have given the last player, I believe it's Octane, he would have killed that guy laying down, and then he would have been able to slide into the hill.
Well, exactly. It would have gone to bridge.
Yeah.
It would have gone to bridge.
It would have gone to bridge,
yeah. And, you don't have any excuses if you're LG. I know Octane came into this weekend with flu-like symptoms. He wasn't feeling well. We thought maybe, if he had an abysmal weekend or your MVP from Anaheim, maybe that gives teams a better chance against the juggernauts that they are. But, yesterday, or I think the night before, he slept like 16 hours. He said he was a little out of it yesterday, but feeling a lot better. You got to think he's ready to go today. guy should be on top form, and that is a map where he should have probably handled business a little bit more.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. You know, came into the weekend sick, you know, not feeling the best, but you know, game one, pretty rough performance at the start. You know, gets off to a slow start in that hard point, but towards the end of the game, he started to pick it up. Saints started to pick it up. This is a big map here for Fnatic. If they're able to win this, they secure that game 5, right? They lose this. You know, LG definitely came alive towards the end of that hard point. Then you go into 2 respawns. This looks like an LG 3-1.
I'll tell you what, if Jordan can drop 64 with the flu, so can Octane.
They actually said that was food poisoning.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, there was actually a book on that.
Really?
Yeah, where supposedly we're going completely off topic.
That's fine. That's my favorite realm.
It's like room service, like knew he was staying there, and it was like
intentional food poisoning.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's good.
Yep.
All right.
I believe they were playing the Jazz at that point.
Hopefully no one did that to Octane. No. All right, now round 1 of the Search and Destroy. If you're just joining us, welcome to the red group for stage 2. Teams battling for top 2 to compete in the $500,000 playoff. Right now, Luminosity in control of the group, but not in control of this series.
It's Wuskin getting first blood here. In round number 1 of Throwback Search and Destroy, you see the players on Luminosity. They push all the way through. Saints, 1 player in front of him, going to be able to deal with him, but he's going to have Slack drop on the other side of the map. So it'll be just Octane and Saints here. Saints in a bad spot.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to stay alive. So many players converging on him. 2 players. Ooh, I was going to say 2 players lining up for Octane. Not able to take out both. It'll be Fnatic taking round number 1.
I'll tell you what, if Saints somehow didn't get picked off by the players and player in Grandma's, maybe was tucked in that corner and all 3 push, and that timing that happens the same way, if he's alive there, that you might get all 3 kills there from.
You would have. I think if Saints actually kills the guy to his left, and those 2 players have to come and turn and look at him for even a split second, Octane kills both those players. So big kills coming in for Fnatic. So they take round number 1. Now they'll be on offense, and it looks like a lot of the pressure going over towards A.
Well, Fnatic the man, or sorry, Wuskin the man, they got the first blood. Fnatic not a human.
Fnatic the man.
We'll see if Wuskin can keep that alive. But Sunny B going to get the first pressure. He's tagged up immediately by an ERAB. The pressure going to fall right on Scraps if they continue to push through. We saw one over the top. Coming through mid-cut is Tommy. One before falling. Now all the pressure onto Wuskin. They drop like dominoes, and that'll be an easy defuse here for Luminosity.
Yep, once they get that first blood on Sunny B, everything falls apart for Fnatic. They have to kind of back up, look to their right, players approaching from the sidewalk, straight through the bomb site. Just very difficult to hold it down once that player drops for Fnatic. It'll be Luminosity taking round number 2. And I'm surprised, Glenn. You know, obviously completely different, but like, you know, like basketball, right? There's like a bad defender. Like teams really kind of like isolate them out. Like if you know there's a guy struggling on the other team, and especially a game mode like Search and Destroy, where players kind of like play the same positions like kind of frequently. It's like if I knew where like a Tommy or Sunny B were, like I would just be like, Psycho, challenge him every single time. I would just force that engagement to happen every single time.
Yeah, and I think that's something that a Luminosity team would try to do. I mean, they're confident that they can take gunfights off of anyone here this weekend. Hell, anyone really in the world. These guys are playing. We actually had the comms. There was, I think, a little bit of a cross with some of the wires for our audio. And before Jack and I were going to cast yesterday, the Luminosity's comms were linked into our headset. So we're getting ready to go live, and I hear these guys talking to each other. Let me tell you, that was some of the most confidence I've ever heard out of players. They had zero doubt they were going to win that series. Felt very confident in their ability to take any one-on-one gunfight in the series.
Yeah, they are incredibly confident coming into this group, and rightfully so. They have the bomb down in their favor. They have the man advantage, and with 15 seconds left to defuse this bomb, Wuskin has no chance of getting there. BLG taking this round, going up 2-1.
I think Wuskin got 3 different players one shot there. Just not able, unfortunately, to finish any of those kills and give himself a chance really to take the round. See the final kill cam is Saints. Octane, your Anaheim MVP on your screen now. If you're wondering why he looks so out of it or bored, that is the face of Octane pretty much at all times while he's playing until maybe they get a big win and he becomes quite meme-worthy.
Yeah, he starts like
growling,
hamming it up with his teammates. Yeah, I don't
strange
even understand
faces.
it. Yeah, strange faces. But
all right, now for Fnatic, again, 3rd at CWL Sheffield, a team that is stuck right around the kind of tier 2 of EU all year. Man, coming out top 2 here would be absolutely huge, and they're going back-to-back weekends of playing on land. Classic, just, I don't know, spider sense there. Catches one in the corner as he's able to snap across. They have a 3v2 advantage. Now it ends up being Tommy by his lonesome, and he is cut down. LG now rolling in a couple of rounds.
LG's just roaming around the map. as a pack, forcing gunfights. It's really it. And Fnatic, you know, with the way they play a little bit spread out. So if you kind of stay together, you run as a pack, like you're able to pick players off one by one.
Yeah, and as long as, you know, if you're doing that as LG, as long as your comms are up, you know, you got somebody watching for any kind of flank, they're going to win those scenarios time and time again. We saw it on Crusher, how good they were when they could turn it into kind of that 4-on-4 fight. Fnatic, you know, the pressure's on them. What can you do here to maybe try and, I don't know, isolate Luminosity players or get kills where you're not going in a big team-on-team gunfight?
I mean, they just need to slow the game down. I mean, you're not going to win playing super aggressive. I mean, you see Sunny B get right up to the bomb site. They know he's there. They challenge him right away. And because they play so spread out, there's nobody there to trade it out right away. So that position from Sunny B, not the best. It's getting off to a bad start here, 1-5. On the other side of the coin, Octane, though, 7-2, getting off to a very good start, making up that poor start in game number 1.
And that's been the biggest talking point for this LG team. I think it's been Octane's improvement just from a kills, like a slaying standpoint in Search and Destroy. But suddenly it's Saints by his lonesomes, the duo, the brothers, end up clutching up tons of time for the defuse. Wuskin and Scraps getting it done.
Yeah, it's a good round for Fnatic. They find themselves man down. The bomb planted at the A site, and they're able to force a retake there. Scraps and Wuskins playing that very nicely for Fnatic. It's a big round, too, because, I mean, I know Octane, you know, he has camo going forward. You start to build that lead a little bit more. You have that powerful payload ability. You kind of put this Search and Destroy away in Luminosity's favor. Winning that round's big.
And that's around another reason it's huge. You know, Sunny B drops first. You get the first blood for LG. Anytime you're winning a 3v4, and that's not a 3v4 where it was like traded immediately.
No.
That was a kill not traded at all. You have complete advantage if you're LG. Fnatic clutch up. Those are game-changing rounds for sure.
And I mean, you look, you kind of take this round away, right? Give it to LG. They're up 4-1, and they have camo. I mean, that is a very difficult game for them to lose at that point. So it's a big round there for Fnatic. And, you know, they show some action over towards the B site. Saints wins the first gunfight, and everybody else backs up for Fnatic. They're not going to challenge this. So now that it's 2 rounds in a row where they put themselves in a bad spot, you know, going down a man early.
Well, they were able to clutch up in the previous round. Can they get it down, or get it done again here in the 3 versus 4? Watching Scraps' POV, your hero from kind of game 1s throughout this weekend so far, just dropping absolute bombs, doing an excellent job of picking up streaks as well for his team. Tommy does see one inside a barn. Not going to engage yet. Your camo player Octane sitting in the back. He knows there's a couple of players here. Let's see if they end up pushing him out. Now he's going to go ahead and preemptively pop camo. That'll feed him 2 kills. It's Sunny B now by himself. He's going to drop, and that's another round for LG. I mean, you don't get much out of the camo. I think your teammates kill everybody, but regardless, it's a round win.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he thought the guy saw him, like, on the other side of the fence. Like, they were going to push him with 2 players, pop that camo before there's something crazy happen. And see Classic making sure Sunny B is dead. So he shoots half of his clip towards the ground. But you know, it's an odd pop of camo. I mean, they don't really get a ton for it, but you don't know, obviously, what Octane's seeing, right? I mean, he may think there's a player challenging him from his right in the front. Like, he just gets out safely. Doesn't want it to be a 3v3 scenario. So you secure that round and win away. You're still up, you know, 4-2. You're in a very good spot.
Octane having to back down quickly as he's tagged there at top blue. Just flying over the top is Classic. It's 3 first bloods in a row. 2 first bloods in a row for LG. Now a first blood coming through for Fnatic, and that time they're able to take it.
If you were going to say that's 3 first bloods in a row for Fnatic, I was like, that is the biggest lie I think you've ever said during a broadcast.
The opposite of the truth.
We just watched Sunny B die first. We just saw Wuskins go to the bomb site and just not do anything.
Oh, for Fnatic, you're able to split the rounds where LG gets the first bloods. Here, when you get it done, you're able to take it. We know how high a percentage it is when you're able to win, or sorry, get those first bloods early on. But
you're
Fnatic
a genius.
Still trailing by a round. I really am.
You just took your incorrect fact and somehow worded it into something that made it sound like it had some relevance.
Yep. No idea if that made sense. I am a wordsmith, that's for sure.
A wordsmith?
Yep.
Is that like a blacksmith?
Yes, a hammer, but with a book.
With a book.
No idea.
Thesaurus.
All right, well, 4 up for either side. No early first blood coming out this time. The Scarab, double Scarab, actually going to be out from LG. They get a ton of information on where the setup is, but smokes out. There's good. Slacked, trying to get it. He's on it right now. They're covering over the top. Slack does get cut down. There's only 25 seconds remaining. It's going to be a 2v2. LG, the pressure on them to make plays. It's going to be a 1v1 quickly. Sunny B going up against Saints. Saints has him tagged. He only has 6 bullets in the clip. Is that going to be enough to kill him? He's got to reload. Not enough in the clip, but still trying to fly. There's only 13 seconds remaining. Sunny B gets away with his life. There will not be enough time for the defuse, and we'll be all tied up at 4-4. And that it was a great play from Sunny B, but more the problem is Saints only had 6 bullets in the clip.
Yeah.
I don't know where his chance to reload was, but
he didn't really have one.
Yeah,
If he would have reloaded, Sunny B would have just slid around the corner. But I think when Saints got him originally weak, and he's kind of just sitting behind that, the big cover, that big tree, I think that's where Saints just needed to push him. I mean, if he gets close to the K-bar, I mean, hell, he could have fired his 6 bullets. He's not dead, just melee up close, and he would have had a chance.
Well, you saw by the time the second gunfight went down, his health was already coming back. All right, offense now for LG. All tied up as we head into round 9. Saints reactive armor to work with. Wuskin, FTL jump on the other side. The bomb has been planted. Classic, just getting away with his life as a Scarab was coming through to scout.
Now, Scraps does have the camo. See if he decides to use it here. That's Fnatic trying to get back towards the site. Only 30 seconds left to defuse the bomb. Big first kill there from Sunny B. And now if you're Luminosity, you got to wonder, do you invest the reactive armor of Saints into this round to secure it for the squad?
2 kills, though, go the way of LG. Saints does pop the reactive armor. Scraps and Wuskin, though, clutching up. It's all on Saints again. Turns it into another 1v1. Sunny B got the better of him last time. This time it's Saints' time. Just a run for his life. 7 seconds left. Nobody on the bomb. And that's another very tight round. This time it goes the way of LG.
It's a nice play there from Saints if you're Fnatic. You do burn the reactive armor on the side of LG, so not the worst thing in the world. I believe we'll go into this next round, see who has which payload abilities. I don't believe Octane's any close to getting his second camo. No, not really that close. Yeah, you do have, Scraps does have the camo, and Wuskin has his payload ability as well. So.
Yeah, as we swapped off him, I actually wasn't sure if he maybe popped that to try and make a play.
Yeah, neither did I.
It looks like he has held on to it. So he'll be the one that needs to make a play. He'll be your back bus player, looking over the bomb carrier, keeping eyes on middle map. A grenade ends up with an assisted suicide, as I guess Saints is going to die from fall damage after being tagged up. Let's see what the Scarab's able to locate. The first blood is the way of Fnatic.
And with the bomb planted on their side, I mean, he uses Scarab to see if somebody jumps on the bomb, and then just get that player weak, and then you just nade the bomb or, force some shots out. You're able to kill that player with ease.
I mean, this looks like it's going to around 11. There's just no time to work with. Octane's in a tough gunfight. Classic does help him out, but it's still 3v3. 15 seconds now on the clock, and they trade it back. Octane misses a couple of shots. Doesn't miss there at all. They've got time to maybe get this done. Nope. Run away. Wuskin comes up clutch, just like we saw Sunny B do before. This is, 3 rounds in a row that come down to basically time there on the bomb by getting those quick plants.
Yeah. I mean, you get bombed down, you just stall out for a little bit. It's very difficult for the defenders to kind of wipe the board and get back towards bomb. So you just get those 1v1s with, 12, 13 seconds left. You just have to check, make sure nobody's on bomb, even if you die. Not the worst thing in the world. You're going to win the round. So this one, going to around 11. You have Octane playing very well for LG. I believe 11-5 right now. Not getting close to his second camo, and Saints as well, 10-6.
The big thing here is Scraps. He's going to be the number 6 on your minimap. He has camo to work with. He's not involved in the action right now. But as you keep an eye, just look at him on the minimap and see where he decides to go. He's actually one of those yellow X-rays, kind of the backside of Grandma's. Here he is. Camo has been popped. Looking to make a play. There's all 3. This could end up perfect. Shooting everybody in the back, but he does get dropped. Sunny B somehow ends up being the lone person left in this situation. Can't get away with his life, and LG wins it. So when you see that angle from Scraps where he's shooting the whole team in the back, unfortunately, they're killing his entire squad as that's going down.
It's an interesting kind of, I don't even want to say a strategy. It was probably not intentional at all from LG, but when Scraps gets behind them with camo, instead of worrying where the camo guy is, they just charge in and kill everybody else. I mean, Scraps isn't going to be able to shoot all 4 guys in the back before they turn around. It's LG clutching up in around 11.
That was unreal, because I mean, when the action gets fast like that, I know only thing I was thinking about was that camo player in behind. I'm like, oh, surely this should be a round win. But at the same time, everybody from Fnatic ends up dropping. It's just Sunny B, the last man alive. Can't get it done. What a crazy back and forth battle we had in the search and destroy, and that is going to tie us up at 1-1 apiece. 2 very close games to kick it off. It's Uplink up next, guys. We'll see you after this quick break. Our series tied at 1 game apiece. We're about to hop into the uplink, but before that, let's take a look at our G Fuel key player matchup. It's Slack from Luminosity up against Scraps from Fnatic.
Yeah, and both players pretty similar. You see the KDs, a 0.87 for the side of Slack, a 0.86 on the side of Scraps. It's just Slack has done a little bit of a better job, putting more points on the board for LG, but both players got to step it up coming into uplink.
Both your guys doing the dirty work yesterday, getting that drone through for points for their team. That has been it. It's your G Fuel key player matchup. Let's head to the uplink. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Series tied at 1 apiece. And this is, I mean, I thought honestly our most important match was going to be the second match of the day.
Yeah.
But if Fnatic, keeps playing Luminosity tough, if they take this series, I mean, it kind of flips the group on its head. Not really from Luminosity's standpoint, you still feel pretty good about their spot, but for Fnatic, Mindfreak, and Evil Geniuses, I mean, if you're EG and Mindfreak, you're like, God damn it.
I think that was Fnatic's chance, though. I mean, you take that search and destroy, you secure yourself a game 5. You lose that game, though. LG, they gain a little bit of momentum. They know they started to play well at the end of the hard point in game 1. Now, the next 2 respawns, you look to favor LG.
And the big thing about this Luminosity team and the reason they've become so good, I mean, that is a game typically that they would lose. If it goes to around 11 in a search and destroy, or if they even get to around 11, if they would have given up the hard point in a previous series, you're usually thinking they lost that series, right? If they dropped game 1, you didn't feel very good about them in the past. But with the improvements in search and destroy, if they have a game 1 where they drop, they're still alive in a series, which I just don't think was true for a long time.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a big win there. It's something I know Luminosity they've done better with. I believe it was during their group stage in stage 1. They were joking around that's their game 5. They were able to win one finally. And now you see they're winning clutch search and destroys. Now going into game 3, I will say, when we show that graphic, game 1 looks pretty close, 250, I believe 211 is the final score. That one, Fnatic dominated most of the game. It was just a late run by LG, which really made it close, but Fnatic definitely came out, played fantastic in the hard point. It's the uplink, though. This is where we've seen LG blow some teams away. A very fast style of play. Can Fnatic match them in slaying again?
And this is where it's interesting, because I believe we're going to Frost. I mean, if you talked about, if this is a throwback or something, I actually give Fnatic a pretty good chance in that. We've seen them beat some top North American teams. You can be kind of sneaky in corners. You can flank repeatedly. You can be really annoying on the map. This a lot of times just turns into who's going to outslay, right? It becomes a bloodbath really at mid-map for control, and I just don't know who's gonna. If Sunny B doesn't have a good game with the ERAD, I mean, who the hell is going to match that? Saints is going to go off here. He absolutely is going to crush. Who's going to be the person to kind of keep that pace?
I have no idea. I mean, Scraps and Wuskin, I mean, they've been playing very good in the respawn game modes, but you're on Frost uplink with how fast it is, you're not going to be able to get away with, just one person, playing well. You're going to need everybody, playing fast, up to pace. I don't know where Fnatic gets it from.
Yeah, and LG, I mean, we've seen teams run 4 ERADs on this map. A lot of times we'll see kind of 3 for LG. We've seen Octane run an MV4 here for the majority of the game and still drop nearly 40 kills, which is a bit odd for something like Frost. I imagine we'll see a bit more of the K-bar throughout this one for him, but let's see what we get into. Starting off game 3, series tied up at 1-1. We're watching Wuskin control Robo off the break, but as you can see on the minimap, no action going to be there. Everybody pushing out towards Dozer and drone control.
And this map, we see a ton of ERAD plays, right? ERAD, and really, if you're going to run an AR, the NV4 is not the greatest on this one. You're going to be running the K-bar. So NV4, not the best on this map. You'll even see Octane switch over, run the K-bar. He throws through a 1-point play to put LG on the board first.
All right, so they do strike first. You'll see a lot of times off the break, you have more, you'll see here. You have an NV4 that'll set up kind of on that opening attack. You should see a lot of changes coming in as soon as Wuskin likely drops, but right now, it's the ERADs you see keep popping up on the kill feed. We talked about Saints, man. The fact that he can absolutely go off. He's got 4 kills already.
And his play, man, has just been so different. You see an interception come in there for Tommy, side of Fnatic, but I feel like Saints turning it around has really been the difference maker for this LG squad. It's kind of funny. I feel like we've seen Saints, his stats get much better and play much better. I feel like Slack's, Slack has obviously been playing great. Slack's a fantastic player, but his numbers have kind of dipped as Saints has gotten better. But I think they've just figured out a winning play style. It's almost turned into where they were trying to get Saints to kind of do some of the dirty work on the rotations early, and it just wasn't working out. So Slack's saying, Saints, you go back to doing what you do the best. You kill people, I'll worry, I'll handle all that other stuff.
Well, it was interesting talking to the guys a little bit too, because I agree with you in the sense that I would want, let Saints just kind of turn his brain off and run and slay. But they were saying like Saints is very smart in this game. Like he really gets it. It's just he started to I guess understand it more throughout the course of the year, and that combined with the slaying prowess we know he can have has been truly special. But Slacked is on a 4 streak right now, and he's been doing everything, whether it's been the objective or stepping up and slaying when he needs to, winning one-on-one gunfights like that. He's been amazing as well.
I feel like that's one knock on Saints' gameplay that I've never really understood. Like, oh, like, you know, he's just a fantastic slayer, you know, not the smartest of players. Like, I never have even... Oh, that was a sick play by Classic. He, like, dove through the window, meleeed one player, just threw it right in. That was nuts. But Saints, obviously, you know, I'll get back to my point. No, fantastic player, very good in the slaying department. I never really understood the he's not a smart player kind of content about it.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I don't, when you talk about, it's funny, like, you know, Scump used to always get, like, knocked for his brains, right, back in Black Ops 2, and he prides himself in being a much smarter player now, and I think there's a difference between kind of in-game smarts and when you're a slayer, it's more in-game instinct for me, right? Just kind of knowing timings, knowing where to be. I don't know if smarts is even the right word. It's just, it's an instinct thing, man. You know where to be at what time on the map and just gun people. You're seeing Classic do it right now. That's 3 in a row and another point on through for Luminosity. They're cruising thus far, but 2 minutes left in the first half. They're up 4-0.
And I would say it's actually much harder to like get that Slayer instinct than to just learn the game, right? I mean, players, if you have that kind of natural instinct, like just in game, like knowing where people coming from, like certain situations, like Karma has it, right? See Classic though dominating now, 7 streak, make it 8, fully streaked out, another 2-point play for LG. So they've been dominating this first half. Nothing really much to talk about on the side of Fnatic, but
he only has 13 kills and 9 came in a row. Just disgusting stuff from Classic. And that's why this team, I think, matches up so good with a team like Optic Gaming and Respawns, because there are 4 players that can go off at any given moment. Like, think about it. Octane's 5-6. And they're up 7-0. We saw a hard point yesterday when they were against EG where he didn't do anything flashy and they were crushing.
Well, we gotta take the scoreboard down for a second. He's 5-6 with full streaks.
And he's got 5 kills in a row to get back to 6-6. He also has 6
points. Yeah,
that's a lot like what we saw from Slacked in their uplink yesterday, where he didn't have a lot of kills, but he was getting everything done with the drone. You just see it's kind of objective by committee right now for this roster.
Are you really surprised though with this map draw?
Oh no, that's
teams. No, not really.
That's why I said before this one. If it was something like a throwback, I give Fnatic a fighting chance.
This is just a bloodbath on the map.
So much gun on gun, and so much just comes down to that quick communication and trading kills effectively. We know LG's the best at doing it, so am I shocked? Not at all. Would I like to see Fnatic put up more of a fight? Yes, because they put up 0. But no, I'm not shocked. I don't think anyone watching this should be.
And this is obviously a map, very close quarters. This is not a map where you can really hide. Like you have to fight. Like you have to take gunfights on this map. Especially with the areas of the map that are really played, like in here, you know, by the sub-bay, like there's nowhere you can really hide. You need to come out, you need to challenge the opponent, you need to win gunfights. And this is a map that definitely plays to LG's strength.
Oh yeah, and we saw them doing it. They did it in game 1, right? But it's a lot different when you're doing it on a retaliation hardpoint with, you know, K-bar in V4 meta.
You play a little further back.
E-Rad's soaring at you.
You play in some kind of corners, you know, you can play a little bit slower. It's a dominant first half there from LG. Nothing really going. And I mean, I can't even think of one time Fnatic got the drone and got it towards the LG side of the map.
No, yeah, I mean, I'm sorry if you are a Fnatic fan and wanted to see some of your boys there in the first half. There wasn't a whole lot to show. I mean, they weren't able to get across the halfway point. Like you said, there were no offensive opportunities whatsoever. The hammer of God just struck them in the first 5 minutes.
We'll see if they can bounce back in the second half. But LG, I mean, they have full streaks. We can cycle through LG. And we know Octane has full streaks. Classic, he has full streaks. You have a Scarab on Saints has nothing. But still, I mean, 2 players with full streaks. With the way they're playing, obviously going to get the payload abilities first. It's a 4 dead at the beginning of this one.
This is exactly the start you wanted. Oh yeah, the streaks are to come in, clear out the backside. 2 more down. Octane picks up several with the bombardment, and there's a dunk. They're into double digits in the opening 30 seconds here on our second half. This is rough.
It's not been a pretty one. Me and you, I feel like, always get these uplink games that are just like,
right.
like just slaughters.
Well, we've gotten, I think, the 2 biggest blowouts I've ever seen.
We did the Rise Nation
question mark at the time.
Question mark at the time. TSM. That was what, 30 to. And Rise Nation, it's pretty much the same guys on Luminosity, right? It's Octane, Classic, and Slacked. That was, I believe, 30-1 on a Fringe uplink.
Yeah, it was Fringe.
And then we casted another one.
There was one recently
really
that
bad.
was,
recent.
30-2 or whatever it was.
Wasn't it, hold on, it was Cloud9, was it Cloud9 Envy?
Yes.
Cloud9 Envy, stage 1. It was like 24-1 or something like that. It was just not pretty. That was a throwback uplink.
Yep. We've definitely casted some of the more lopsided.
I definitely remember the good ones.
Yeah, right. Well, let's see. Fnatic, as they get their first point on the board, could this maybe be the turning point? And it's funny because, yes, they're being outslayed, but it's not that astronomical. The problem is just, yeah, all their kills outside of those have been coming off the defensive end, right?
Yeah, it's a little bit deceiving when you look at the kills because you're like, oh, well, you know, Fnatic's kind of hanging in there, but no, just the position where these kills are coming in. Look, now you see these are good kills from Mustang, right? On the LG side of the map, lead to scores. All the other kills they were getting were pretty much just getting out of their own base or just killing players in the base. They were never able to get kills near mid-mount. They were never able to force any action on the LG side of the map. So all your kills are coming on the defensive end, which, quite frankly, you're going to stumble into kills because they are so far in your base.
Well, as much as we can talk about KD, I mean, there's always more important kills. Whether it's hard point, you talk about, you know, defensive kills around the hard point, or kills on rotation. Here, it's, you know, are you finding a clutch kill on defense, or is it just, are you storming, getting 3 pieces in the opposition's base and locking it down like we saw Classic do earlier? But as we continue to talk about what's been primarily a slaughter, we do see Octane with some lackluster movement off the edge of the map.
So he throws the drone to Classic, and then he tries to get back on the wall, but not able to do so. Classic runs by 3 guys, shoots a teammate. It's a 2-point play.
And that's exactly what we're talking about with like all the kills. Like whenever we've seen a yellow kill feed kind of for Fnatic, orange, whatever, I'm colorblind, you do see it.
It's definitely yellow.
A yellow, orange, one of them. We see them happening in those spots on the defensive end, just like that. You know, they've put some points on the board. They've started to make it a little bit more respectable, but it's just been the lack of offensive opportunities that's startling.
I mean, they're starting to force some action in towards sub bay, but you know, 2 minutes to go, which just might be a little bit too late. So they're going to settle for a 1-point play. You know, Slacked just trying to stay alive. Tommy's going to win this gunfight. Going to back out from Helipad, but look, Saints here getting back towards the middle of the map. Easy cutoff kill. Now where do you go if you're Fnatic? I mean, the streaks are coming down. You have to force into sub bay. Sunnybeam needs to win some of these engagements, lead the way for squad.
I think this push, if they're able to get a dunk here, and then you maybe, Classic's already used his camo, Scraps is getting closer to it. If you can make maybe an overdrive play, a camo play, oh God, okay, he does at least get 1. I thought the dunk might be there. They're down 7. I mean, you have to have perfect use of these payloads, and you need to just, God, get a little bit fortunate here on these gunfights at mid-map. And as I say that, everything goes the way of Luminosity.
You're like the worst luck you could possibly do. Like, they need to get some, everybody's dead.
Yeah, right as I say it, they all topple over. This is likely more points, easy 1-point toss. They put it through, 13-5 advantage now for LG.
Yeah, and Octane uses the overdrive, gets into a position. Fnatic, you know, they put all their, you know, emphasis watching over there towards the blue, and then Octane grabs the background towards the middle, settles for a 1-point play. In this type of situation, right, if you're LG, don't need to get fancy, settle for the 1-point plays, lock down the middle of the map. This game is yours.
And Octane, who started slow, he's what, like 5-5. He's now up to 24-19. He's leading the team with points as well. He had a handful of streaks to work with, but they don't need to come into play right now with 25 seconds remaining. This is just, yeah, I think a tough map draw for Fnatic, and one that LG easily controlled.
And Classic had a very good game as well. 31-22, 5 scores of the drone. He had a great game towards the end of game 1, right? Remember, he goes on a, you know, a long streak, really tries to help them pull back in it. But it's going to be Luminosity taking game number 3, 13-5, just dominating Fnatic here on Frost Uplink.
That'll put the series edge to LG up 2-1, and they'll be looking for revenge in the hard point. And you know, you heard in the early interview between the two teams when they were talking about it, and Octane just flat out said, we want revenge. They've beaten us twice. You know, they don't think they should have lost to this team twice. Game 1 was not a good start, but now starting to fight back, and we'll see if Fnatic has what it takes to push it to a game 5, because it'll be interesting. We know EG played LG really, really tough, but they only got 1 map. After the game 1, the Fnatic won, you were really thinking, you know, they're going to be able to at least pull 2 here. But in the end, if this ends up being 3 maps in a row for Luminosity, as good as that map 1 looked for Fnatic, it doesn't matter that much in the end. You do get 1 map at least.
It was set. I'll still go back to it. It's the game 2. Fnatic needed to win that game 2 to secure themselves game 5. You know, a puncher's chance of taking the series. They lose that game. You knew they weren't going to be favored. You know, highly unlikely they were going to win that uplink. And now you kind of poke the bear a little bit, you know, going back into a hard point. Luminosity's not going to come out and just kind of play a little bit lax. They know they've already lost one to this team. They know they have to kind of buckle down and play well. It's going to be a very difficult map to win for Fnatic.
Well, I guess one of the plus sides here is I believe we're going to breakout. So there are some similarities to Retail in the fact that it's going to be a lot more long-range engagements, but at the same time, the ERAD does have a little bit more of a place than it does in Retaliation, where whether you're in cell block, trying to make plays even around commissary, like there are spots where you can really be up close and personal, play sneaky corners a little bit more than something like Retail. So we'll see how this holds for Fnatic, but I mean, if they play their game, if they do what they did in Retaliation, they can win it. It's just the problem is they needed that huge 100+ point lead early to even cement that game.
Hold on.
Yeah, God, how do you come out and open that strong again?
I mean, if you don't open that strong, you lose that game. I mean, if they don't start out that strong in the hard point, this series is over. This is one where Luminosity has won this one 3-0, and they go on and, you know, just still kind of keep running through this group. You know, Fnatic makes it interesting. They take game one. This is the real test, though. Can you take 2 hard points off the best hardpoint team in the world in Luminosity? I don't think it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, it would certainly be a wild upset for sure if they can take both of those hard points. We'll see if they can get it done, but I'm with you in the sense they have to come out strong. They have to hit them in the face again, just get an early lead, get a rhythm going, get that confidence there. You heard the Twins yelling, just getting hyped. That absolutely has to happen. The problem is, though, you wonder if maybe a little bit of the wind got taken out of their sails in that uplink just now, because it was, I mean, that could not have been a fun experience for those 10 minutes that we just saw played.
Yeah, I mean, they talk so much. It's a momentum-based game, right? You know, the guys on Fnatic, and they come out, they're fiery, right? They win game one, they're so hyped up. You hear them on the stage, at least we do here in the venue. And in game two, as soon as they lose that, silence. And then game three, you just get bludgeoned like that. I mean, if you're on their team, like, what do? Like, when you look around and you're trying to kind of like rally the troops, so to speak, like, what do you say? Like, okay, we took game one. In the back of everybody's mind, though, they're like, oh, well, we got up 130 to 20. Like, we're not going to do that again.
This is where I think it falls on Tommy. You know, the veteran to get the Twins fired up. You know, passion goes both ways. We've seen it be instrumental in success for certain teams and player. When you get fired up, we've also seen it be a detriment when you're getting beat. Now, you know, the blame game starts, or they're getting down on themselves or each other. They have to be, you know, just put that away, forget the game three. Tommy's got to get these guys prepped, and they have to start out strong here.
It's interesting. Some players don't really like a lot of the, you know, loud chatter and just kind of.
I remember Nate used to tell me. He thought the whole stuff Clay would do. He's like, that doesn't do anything.
Yeah, he hated it. But I mean, I know the guys, they loved when Clay would do that type of stuff. You know, really just kind of get everybody fired up. Like, it just makes you feel. See, the difference is like, I don't like when people call things out like quickly, because then I just feel like when I hear somebody call something out quickly, I think like, okay, there's just more emphasis on it than something else, or I have to look there right away. But when somebody's just loud, like, I don't mind that. Like, that's just like intensity.
Well, this is a very good start, though, Matt, for Fnatic. You know, we saw what that perfect start from Luminosity against EG yesterday on this very map. Fnatic flipped the table. And what do they start out, 50-0? I mean, even push a little bit higher than that, I think, in the game one retaliation. Let's see if they can mirror anything like that here. But it's going to be Scraps kind of by himself. He's already tagged up the nades. Good job slipping to cover. Give some points over to Luminosity, but play your life here. Look at that number 8 on the minimap right now. You see him hitting the wall run. Sunny B rotating very early. Now he's going to need some help. He's getting pinched from one side. He takes the first gunfight. That's big. There's another on the back. That's going to be slacked. And you have Saints collapsing as well. A lot of pressure to go big here for Sunny B. He wins one, but that's tough. He has to go against 3 players. There's nobody there from his squad to help him out. Everybody's spawning out.
A smart play by Slack. He just waits a few extra seconds, waits for Saints to get over there. Even if Slack falls, Saints is going to pick it up. They're going to control the spawn. So a smart play there from Slack. And now it's on Fnatic to break in here towards cell block. One of the harder hills to break, because you got to, you know, hit this wall run. You got to get all the way in the back to control the spawns. You can contest it from this outside catwalk, but still, you're only going to be alive for so long.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about it. Like, this is a map where these ERADs can come into play a whole lot more. And you saw NV4 players, K-Bar players trying to come in over the top. Slack just peeks out and kills 2. You're going to get evaporated at close range like that. I think 2 players just go over the top. He gets it done with the ERAD. He also gets it done. He's got what? He's used an MV4. He had an ERAD. He has picked up a K-Bar, I think, as well. Fell just a little bit short of streaks, though.
It'll be Luminosity taking all of cell block. 10 seconds left. Octane will sit inside the hard point, rock up the time. So we will go over here towards the bulldozer in the Graveyard Hill. See how LG decides to break it. It looks like a Scarab's out, and actually it's going to be Wuskin shooting that, so it'll be Slack killing Classic. Not the greatest opening push from LG.
Classic had killed himself with one yesterday as well. Scarabs not maybe working out the best for LG, but here comes the second push. Fnatic has to hold this. You cannot allow LG to get an easy breakthrough. They've done it so many times. Dude, Slack does it with a 2-piece on the defensive end there at cell block. He does it trying to attack and break in the hard point right now. God, man, what he provides to this team, it's like you can't put a stat or a number on it.
And I was actually going to bring up Classic. You know, Classic obviously 3-7 right now. You know, not the best of stat line. But I feel like over the last, you know, maybe 2-3 years, like the most underappreciated, I don't know how you would even say it, like undervalued player. Like, I think he's so talented, right? Oh, yeah. He baits a lot for, you know, his teammates. He's always in the right position. You know, very good in all the game modes, and usually, obviously not in this game, not a really great one to highlight it, but you know, usually puts up, you know, pretty decent amount of kills as well. Like, he's always in the right spot for his team. I think Classic, you know, one of the better overall players in competitive Call of Duty, probably doesn't get enough love. Yeah,
you need somebody on your team that's going to make the dirty plays, not always the flashy ones. He does it brilliantly for his side. You see Classic, though, rolling in right now. Coming through helipad, trying to break into commissary. He's got one in the corner. Don't think he spotted him there, and he's going to get chopped from both angles. But just like that, I was going to say, if Saints kills both, that's all on Classic, kind of getting information on both players. He's the first guy in. Saints follows him up. And when you have the slaying prowess you do, I mean, any information Classic can get on that first push in, you got to think those teammates are going to clean it up.
And he's such a versatile player where you can put the K-bar in his hands, ERAD, NV4, like, you can use him in so many different roles. Like, there are not many players who can, you know, do what he does and pick up the kills and use every single weapon. I think he's a player that, you know, if you were like LG and you were like, how do we replace him? Like, I mean, I think like, you know, Karma is like a really, you know, Classic type of player. Like, I think those two players are the best at their roles.
Well, let's we spent some time on LG. Let's swap if we can. Tommy just came off a respawn. I want to talk a bit about this guy if we can get to Tommy's in a second here. So talk to me, though, about Tommy just this year. I mean, he's been kind of up and down. He's considered one of the greatest players all time in EU. You know, I thought he was getting to maybe that age and skill where we'd see him start to fall off, but I think this game, he's really been fantastic all year. I know he's had some off events. He absolutely has, but he seems to have a little bit of a resurgence this year.
Yeah, I thought at the beginning of the year he was very strong. We saw him put up some big numbers in the slaying department and whatnot. And then I think he's kind of, you know, tapered off towards, you know, this half of the year, which, you know, is odd to see. I feel like this is when we saw Tommy, you know, play at almost his best during Black Ops 3, right? You know, Millennium, they win Stage 1, they win Stage 2. He played a very key role on that team. Now, it's odd, though, coming into Fnatic, right? I mean, you look at this roster, like, top to bottom, and there's a lot of pressure on him, you know, coming into this one. Not really as much pressure as he had in the past, you know, playing with, like, Jerd and Swanee and Mad Cat and those guys.
Well, I see, would you say it's almost similar to like being an EU aches in a sense that he's had to, you know, his former champions have kind of left him at this point. You know, he's on the later half of his career. He's had to find 3 young players to kind of go with, exactly like we see on Cloud9 with Aches. Similar stories in a way?
I mean, I think, you know, they're kind of comparable situations. I would say Aches is a little bit different, right? I mean, he kind of falls out of favor with, you know, teammates, you know, whether it's, you know, arguments or attitude or whatnot. And, you know, he's put together some championship teams, you know, since.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's one thing people kind of forget. Like, everyone's like, oh, man, you know, Aches hasn't been good in a very long time. I mean, you know, AW caught champs, you know, that phase team. I think if that finals is played on, you know, Saturday, I mean, I think they're in the finals against Denial.
Oh, yeah, I was more thinking about just the, you know, Fnatic roster you have now, a veteran with a bunch of young talent, similar to what we see.
Okay, so in that sense, yes. But I think from a result standpoint, yeah, I think Ace has had much better results going outside of his kind of, you know, crew or original team than Tommy has.
Well, as we take a look, I mean, the game has gotten certainly out of hand. It's Luminosity up 190-60, basically taken off right where they left off in the uplink. Can Wuskin and crew start to fire back in this? And, you know, as much as we're talking about the ability of Tommy, he has had a very rough one here. He's 7-16. It's slacked again, dude. Both times there's been early control from Fnatic and Graveyard. Slacks come in, found a 2-piece. Yes, it's been a full team push, but multi-kills like that can be the difference in getting a break.
Yeah, and LG, I mean, they're a team that, you know, if they don't rotate early, it doesn't really matter to them. You know, they have the confidence in their gun skill that they're going to be able to go in, force these trades. Somebody will pick up a 2-piece. They're just that good. So you see Saints doing a nice job just staying alive. Knows there's 2 players directly around him. Has players coming around the corner as teammates. That's when he's going to decide to challenge. Octane wins the last fight. has control of the hard point if he wants it.
And how many times is that? It's like if Slack doesn't get those entry kills or Saints or Classic, how many times have you said that? Octane gets those final kills. They're so effective at trading, man. He's just always that last man standing that you can rely on to pick up the kills in transition. And look at this perfect hit through Snow Street together. Octane pushes the outside, gets one. Saints, the inner walkway as he finds a kill, and they're just steamrolling through. And just like that, they've pushed the spawns out to have to hit the wall run now if you're Fnatic. That's not going to work when you have everybody getting set up from LG. This should likely be game here.
And this is why they're such a scary opponent. I mean, they are so strong top to bottom in the slaying department, and then they have the teamwork to do it, right? I mean, they're always on point with their trades. They're, you know, when you win one gunfight, there's always a second player right there ready to trade that out. Just such a strong team now as Luminosity. They have dominated this hard point, and they'll take the series.
3-1 victory for Luminosity. You do get the one map victory for Fnatic. You saw EG take one off LG yesterday, so that's something EG and Fnatic share, where Mindfreak got 3-0'd. So maybe by the end of the weekend, we'll see if those could be the difference when it comes down to map count. But I mean, mostly after the game one, I think we thought that there was a lot more potential for Fnatic to take the series because they looked so good on the retaliation. But after that, it sort of went back to business as usual, and LG handled.
Yeah, once that second game went in favor of LG, you could kind of, you know, look at the maps and the rest of the series and see where this one was going. Now, the uplink was not pretty in favor of Luminosity, and same with this final hard point. They took care of business in game one. They get a map on the board, like you said, but not enough to win the series.
Yeah, and again, just like we said yesterday, kind of with Mindfreak, you can't get down after losing to a team like LG just because they're heavy favorites. Yeah, we saw Mindfreak then battle back and win a series. Fnatic needs to try and do the same today, but from the LG side, they are ready. They got the victory, and we've got Puckett on stage.
Thank you so much, Maven. Fellas, another great matchup. LG, they remain perfect now at 3-0, but it got scary, and it got scary early. Game number one. Fnatic and especially Wuskin came out blazing. Let's talk through this first hard point. What did we see from the Brits to start the day?
They were just shooting great. I mean, obviously, you could just tell it was the first game of the day for Luminosity. You know, we talked about it when we came into the arena today. Fnatic, they were the first up on the main stage warming up. Again, they've always brought the energy to these games, and you know, that's exactly what they did in game number one on Retail Hardpoint. Just right from the start, you know, Wuskin had started 7-0, very close to streaks. They did a great job, but you could see as the game went on, Luminosity, they were like, let's take our time here, get warmed up, try to drag this out, and potentially they almost brought it back.
Now, TV, we saw Scraps there break our replay machine, but we're going to show you at the end of the rotation, it was 197-40. That's just 5 minutes into the game. 197-40.
Great.
I don't think I can remember a single team starting off that hot. How did LG, though, climb back in this game? Was there any one player that turned it on? Did Fnatic slow down? What did you see?
I think it was a team combination, but I think the one that really sparked it was Classic sort of play when he was holding down Cathedral. He's able to go on a bit of a streak there. I think it was a 6 or a 7 streak, and it earned them streaks. When he's able to hold down that Cathedral basically on his own, that's what sort of sparked that comeback. So over there, you can streak out on the backside of Broken. You get control of that. You can saw on the box score that they were able to get the better of that hill. So I think when you can sort of snowball it back into your control there, that's what started to point things back in their direction. Luckily, Fnatic only needed a few more points there on Hotel Hallway. They were able to close it out, but that got close quick.
Retaliation, keep that map in mind when you hear Fnatic. They've been pretty strong on it historically. We saw them beat EG just in stage one. Now they're able to beat Luminosity, but it's the only win they got against LG in this series. But we thought game two, it might be a second one. Let's talk through this search and destroy, boys, because it was LG up 4-2, and then all of a sudden, we're going to a round 11.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like the same story as yesterday. We saw Fnatic play EG on it yesterday, and it was sort of the same thing. EG, they go up 4-2, and then Fnatic starts this comeback. And Fnatic, what they did, they just took over this mid-map control. But again, this round 11, you can just see it on the map. Almost the same situation yesterday. All of Fnatic on their side in Luminosity, they pushed their base.
Momo, break this down for us, because I know you are watching this in slow-mo.
Yeah, this was the really important bit, and when we slow this down, you're going to see exactly the camo play from Scraps. Keep your eye on the minimap, because 2 players follow Scraps, number 8 and 7, Wuskins and Sunny B. And yes, the camo player gets out, but those 2 in Grandma's house, they just get gunned instantly by the combination of all those plays on your screen. Scraps does answer back with the 2 kills, but he can't take down all 4. He gets traded and now left in a 2v1. Sunny's almost, again, he's in that choke point. point. And the one thing that I would have said with the camo that they had, if they maybe just went outside of Grand Mars and kind of pushed together there, it might have been a little bit more effective. But kind of the key storyline, and I feel a little bit deja vu here, was it was that exact same position, the exact same play. They had camo again against Mindfreak, and it was on the exact same map at 5-5. And they lost again.
They were having to attack this time, though, right?
Well, no, they're
on defense.
They had reactive. I believe it was Whiskin with it yesterday. Yeah. They used their payloads defensively with it. I believe they thought was Luminosity and Mindfreak were going to plant that bomb. They're like, all right, we're going to give it up, play the retake with that payload, which works. But every single time, those teams are just getting lemon control. They have to be more aggressive with those payloads in round 11. I mean, Fnatic, they're 0-3 in S&D, I believe, and all 3 of their losses come in round 11. Those situations, you just have to be... You have to initiate with him. There's no reason not to. You have a superpower.
Go ahead, Team. It's one of those two things, too. I think Fnatic's biggest issue on that throwback specifically is in round 10. They had an advantage, and they were able to win the round, but they had a Scarab Scout, and they had a 4 versus 3 advantage. The fact that they almost lost that round, it came down to, I think, Sunny B running away back bowling and almost getting clutched on. I think their challenging they're having is when they have that advantage, they're over-challenging gunfights. When you have an advantage like that, you need to go balls to the wall like Joe's talking about and initiate the gunfight when you have the advantage, or rely on that player with that superpower to make the play while the rest of your players get back, and that's how you earn that advantage. When they try to trade that through that little hallway there, you throw away that advantage and you give the team a chance, and what the team with the best gun skill in the game, why risk it? It's poor decision-making.
Sunny B, if you were watching that in slow-mo, Slack was down to a 1 bullet. His health is coming back as the bullet touches his toe. I feel like if he was able to win that fight, maybe he clutches the 1v1. But it's another round 11 loss. Fnatic, they're tied up 1-1 as we go to game 3. And this was a blowout on Frost. As we show you some of the highlights here from Luminosity, it was score after score. It looked like at times the kills were pretty even, but how did this game play out, guys?
Oh, it just basically broke open in the first half when the Classic was pushing up towards this ship side. You can see on your screen there, he is 24-17, but earlier on with that ERAD towards ship, I think he went on a 6 to 8 streak, somewhere in that range, where he's able to get a 4-piece, and that's where they're able to get that lead up to that 6-8 points. And when you can get that lead on uplink, it's almost impossible to fight back because you have to play so aggressive. LG was able to post up, Fnatic fights back and gets some points back in this one, but when you're down that many, it's basically impossible, especially on Frost.
And there you see the final kills as Tommy is going to be traded out. The drone's left on the ground, and it's LG walking away with the 13-5. So now they're on match point. They're looking like they're going to stay perfect, and that's exactly what they do going into this final hard point. As you take a look at the box score here, Classic was the man. We've talked about Saints. We've talked about Octane. For me, Classic he was on point all series long here. Wuskin, surprising KDs here in the respawn. These are good signs, but when we get to this game 4, did the kills continue to land for Scraps and Wuskin? Were the Twins able to get it done, Momo?
I mean, these guys, yes, have been putting in kind of work through the series, but again, I think Joe put, the nail in the coffin at the very start of the series. You go to breakout hardpoint against LG, the best team in the world right now. It is so unlikely you're going to even kind of come close to it. And it's just the sheer slaying power. You've got Slacks dropping 20 and 10. Saints, again, turning up. And Octane, he's kind of almost been in, not the shadow of these players, but not everyone can, just go crazy on a map like this. There's only so many kills on the map. It seemed effortless. It takes a little bit of credibility away from Fnatic saying that, but you've just got to praise what's in front of you sometimes. LG on that map are just clear-cut fantastic.
Your guy,
yeah.
Where was he, Joe?
Not there. He had a few good, strong couple games in the series, but again, if you're Fnatic, you're just frustrated. You take that game number 1, and that's exactly what you did. You took a respawn off Luminosity. That's their game plan. Take a respawn, win both searches. That game number 2 is just gonna frustrate them so much, just haunt them. Because again, this probably would have went to a game number 5.
Wuskin was playing well in game 3 and in game 4. The worst news, though, if you're a Fnatic fan, Wuskin had the best KD at the end of all 4 games, and it was 1.00. He went even. No one positive on the squad in their series against the toughest team in the group.
I think that's what you got to kind of take into consideration. It is against LG. That's the only kind of positive you take away. Again, that kind of retaliation, the first hard point, yeah, they were fantastic. But the second side of that hard point, it was, 200 to 43 and then 250 to 211. Like, they just let it all go out the window. And you give LG like a taste. Teep was kind of saying, you give that one player streaks, they'll get right back into it. So I think the one thing that Fnatic need to do, just close these games. They managed to, on game one, just about. We kind of had that look across the board. Were they going to choke it? Well, these S&Ds, they need to close up. That's what they're known for.
Fnatic, they could have been up 2-0 at the end of this one. They fall 1-3. LG, they are perfect at the top. Fnatic currently sitting in third place. And coming up next, we have another great matchup for you. We're going to see, of course, Evil Geniuses looking for their first win against the Australians and Mindfreak. But before we get to that, we want to remind you about a big tournament coming up. We're all headed to Orlando, Florida, August 9th through the 13th. Ignore Disney because we're hanging out in the Amway Center. The Call of Duty World League Championship for 2017 is going down. $1.4 million up for grabs, and you can get your spot, your seat, lock it in right now on MLG.tv/CWL Champs. That's going to do it for our first series, but we still have 3 more to go. When we return, it's EG taking on Mindfreak.